Hey Facebook, it's your friendly nosy neighbor, Jessica Carden. Thanks for joining us today for another episode of Nosy Neighbors and Keeping You in the Know. Hey, if you love local businesses like we love local businesses, make sure to like and follow our Facebook page and check and frequent and take a look at our local businesses and support them. We really want to make sure that this page is used to give them more business and so you know more about our local people and our great local businesses. And if you love real estate, like we love real estate, head over to the Murdoch Manwaring Company page and check out all things real estate in our area. We've got stats, we've got houses, we've got cool information. So it's a great resource for you. And if you're looking to buy or sell, please let us know. We'd love to help you. All right, today, speaking of keeping you in the know, we have in real estate, a lot of times we deal with people and their property and the things that happen in life. And one of the things that a lot of people wish that they knew more about is making sure they're protected. Because this is your number one greatest asset and you need to be protected. But there's also a lot of other big assets in your life. So we thought we'd take you to the person that we know is in the know. I'm going to say no as many possible times as I can. That's in the know when we go to need a resource. We're going to talk to today Jory Inama and his crew. Do you guys have a gang sign? No? Okay.
We don't.
We don't have any kind of gang signs.
One,
That's all right. There should be some kind of signal. So Jory has been the person that we send people to when they have questions about insurance. We've helped them sell their house, and he
lots
is
of stuff.
Lots of stuff. He is
Yes.
a great and amazing resource, and he has a crew that has a ton of experience. So if we want to find out more,
Got over 60 years of experience here.
60 years
our
of
office.
experience. Jory's had a lot of plastic surgery, so I'm just kidding. So to introduce us to your group, I'm going to go over here because we're social distancing.
Perfect. I'm
Okay.
Jory. I'm the agent. Been here almost 7 years now. And I have Mickey. She's one of my office managers. We have Evelyn as well. She's been with State Farm for a very long time. So we have lots and lots of experience behind these desks. Lots of stories, lots of things that we've learned and we've seen along the way in the insurance world, which hopefully what we've learned, we pass on to our clients. That's our end goal, is that everybody doesn't face the same fate as some of the others on falling short in their insurance and the things they protect.
Okay, so some people, number one, think, oh, this is going to be a boring video. But oh, no, we're going to tell some stories about things that maybe have happened and to help you down the road, maybe avoid these things. All right, in the event they learn something and they need more questions answered, Jory, how do they call you and get a hold of you to get more their questions?
First thing, get a hold of us at 208-524-7374. They can get online at joryinama.com. We also can stop in at 1830 West Broadway Street here next to Skyline Lanes.
So they can just drop in?
Yeah, we'd love to
Okay.
have them.
Perfect.
Yep, anytime. Fax, email, sheesh. You can even send us a letter if you still do that these days. I don't know. So, but we'll respond, I promise.
Do you guys do Facebook?
We do Facebook.
Do you answer a Facebook Messenger?
Yes, we will look at that.
Okay.
Yep, on our Facebook page as well.
Perfect.
So, yeah, we're in trying to be in all those spaces that we need to be in today's technological market.
Perfect. All right, let's answer some questions. This is my number one question, you guys. If someone says, you know, what's the worst thing you've seen, or what's the thing that you wish you could have helped someone avoid with insurance? What would you answer?
Financial devastation.
So what does that mean?
So what that means is by law, we have to carry insurance. And we know this is such a riveting, fun, and everybody loves to pay their bill every month when they pay their insurance. It's one of their favorite things to do. Yeah. Because all the time they're like, hey, I never use my insurance, or why am I paying this? But I can promise you when we go to pay out, I have never, ever had anybody complain because we gave them too much money. So we want to make sure that we're giving them enough money to cover those things that they have going on in their lives.
So what kind of things have people fallen short with? Because I think the first thing you think of is every time you pay that bill out, is they start to go, well, could I get it cheaper?
Right.
You know, because I'm never using it. And so what are the things that have happened that maybe they should have had if they would have maybe not gone as cheap as they can or missed out?
Right. There are options and ways of going cheap, for sure, in everything that you do.
Right.
Necessarily cheap is not always the best.
Right.
And we feel that same way with the insurance world. And so when we talk about if you want cheap, there's cheap options. But is cheap necessarily the best for you at that point or time in your life? Generally, it's not. And that's where the liability limits about what the state requires versus protecting all the assets that you have. I mean, there's a big difference. So state minimums are $25,000, $50,000, $15,000 in Idaho Falls, or in Idaho, basically. And those numbers become very important into protecting a household. And so most people don't even know what those numbers are.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. You'll always see 3 of them. But what those truly mean is how well you're protected in an accident. How much do you want your insurance company to pay?
So am I right when talking about, that's kind of car insurance? Am I right?
This is car insurance.
So when we talk about car insurance, what would those numbers differ? What would differ in those coverages? Is it just how much your car is worth?
No. It has nothing to do with what the car's worth on that side of things. It's, for example, if you're driving down the road, you have an accident, that person goes to the hospital, they're injured, disabled, or even killed. How much do you want your insurance company to pay for those people that were injured or killed or anything? That's what those numbers do. If you have $25,000, your car insurance is going to pay $25,000 for that one person. And today's market, $25,000 doesn't get you very far in the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
So when you go, let's say a person went to the hospital, they spent 5 days in ICU and they have a $200,000 hospital bill, right?
Yeah.
And they say, hey, guess what, Jessica, your insurance paid $25,000, but I still have a $175,000 hospital bill. They're going to say, you're responsible for that. We need to clear these bills.
Yeah.
And that's what that insurance does. And so when you hear about the lawsuits or the problems in the industry, is because you superseded those numbers or went over them. And so now they're coming after you personally. And that's our job, is to make sure that nobody goes after you personally for the things that you have that are on the line.
So ladies, are you guys the ones that deal with that phone call that comes in looking for insurance? Do you guys do the front part or the back part? The front of I'm getting it, or the back part of I need to file a claim?
We deal with both. And that conversation generally starts with that question. If you hit or injure or kill someone, how much do you want your insurance to pay?
Wow.
I use frequently the statement, there are 2 reasons for having liability insurance. The first is that moral and legal obligation we have to restore someone we've damaged. And the second reason we have liability insurance is to protect our assets. So that if, in the event of that major accident that you have, you've transferred that risk to the insurance company to the best of your ability. Because generally, the insurance company is in a better position to pay those claims than us as an individual. So,
I gotcha. I never even thought about it like that. How do you explain this, Evelyn? How do you explain it to someone? How does someone decide how much they're going to cover?
Well, there are a couple of things that you need to take into consideration. First of all, they need to know what the insurance policy will do for them. Not just how much it will cost, but if a catastrophe happens, how's that insurance company going to pay out? What's the contract read? You know, what are the coverages that you think you have versus what you actually have? So you want to be sure that you ask the right questions and that you get the right answers.
How does someone, I think about that. I don't know if I know what my insurance contracts say. So when do you find that out? Does it change, or do you read it the first time and then you're good to go for years? How does that work?
Well, if it changes, the insurance company has a responsibility to let you know what
Is
that
it when I get that
change is.
huge packet of papers in the mail?
Exactly.
Oh, I'd have to read that stuff?
So my question is when do you think you would find out what your insurance covers?
I'm pretty
At
sure
what point in time does most people really ask a question about what they have for insurance?
it's when they need
When
the
they need it,
insurance.
right?
Yes.
And when do they find out if they didn't have enough or wasn't what they thought? Because everybody says, I have insurance, so I'm covered. Everything's good.
Yeah.
But what happens when they find out that it wasn't covered? Or there's a few
When
things?
there's a hailstorm
Yes, we had.
and you had to get a new roof and you found out the difference between replacement costs.
An actual cash value.
I'm not going to mention anything about that. Those of us who don't read our paperwork.
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head with the different types of contracts.
Yeah.
There's lots of wordings and ways to show a price value or a price decrease. But generally, if it's too good to be true, it is. Even in the insurance world, if it's so inexpensive and they're the cheapest that you're finding, it's probably because there's a reason for that. They may have cut some very important things such as replacement cost on a hell roof versus an actual cash value policy, meaning they pay a depreciated amount versus replacing the roof.
So in that, explain what that means and how many different things does that kind of an issue apply to? Does that happen in all different parts of
The
a
insurance
house
world?
policy, or is it just a roof?
No, it's everything that has to do with the claim. You have an option of replacement cost, or you have the option of actual cash value. Meaning, let's say that roof is 10 years, they're going to depreciate 10 years off of that. And so it's say, if we were replacing it was 10,000, but depreciated is now.
Explain depreciated for those of us dummies. Not me, of course.
And I'm one of those probably. So the depreciated amount, it would be going from 10,000 replacement cost, and you have 10 years now knocked off, it could be now worth 6,000.
That it's worth it, $6,000, which means
And you're not going to get the 10. It costs you 10 to do it, but you're going to get paid 6,000
because it's worth that because of his age.
Yeah,
Is that
depreciated.
right?
Whereas if it's a replacement cost policy, once you replace it, then that's what you get is the replacement cost.
Okay, you guys, so if you were giving advice, if you were thinking about giving advice and talking to people, what are the things that they should be thinking about when they're thinking about insurance? What are the main things you guys wish you could say to people? I wish you'd think about this.
Our whole thing is we want them to purchase what they would purchase if they knew what we knew. That's our whole goal, is that if they had the same knowledge as we had, our job is to encourage them to buy according to that knowledge. And that's what we do here.
What do you think the highest, what's the one thing that you say, if you knew this, you would probably think about insurance differently? What do you think that number one thing is?
Your liability limits and how you are protected on those. They're either the strongest or the weakest link to people getting to your assets through some lawsuit. And so if you knew what you had, or you set those levels according to what you have in assets, what you have to protect, then you can transfer that risk for relatively inexpensive amount of dollars to us, and we'll take care of it instead of you having to fight the legal battles.
So if I take and reiterate what I think I just heard you say, is the amount of liability that you have in coverage protects the amount of assets that you have, because if you're sued, they go after those assets to get compensation.
Exactly. So it's very,
So what's the difference in cost for that? In liability, is that a big cost in insurance?
No.
Is that why people don't?
From what you're protecting, it is
It's not.
pennies on the dollar. It's peanuts. It really is. You're versus maybe, $15 a month to $25 a month, double or triple that coverage. You're talking, but it's not the conversations people are having because they can go online. And they're not having those conversations online. And that's what State Farm Jory Inama's office, or any agent-based office, has going for us, is that we still have that personal touch with the customers, that they can talk to us. And we have team members that will answer the phone every day. You don't get in a calling tree. You can call Mickey, and you can call Evelyn, and we can call Briley, or any of the other team members of agents in town. I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
But I know in our office that you'll get a response back.
So let's talk about home insurance and coverage of that. So we were talking a little about that depreciation and those kind of things. How much coverage should you have on your home? When you decide how much coverage, what's the general idea when you're thinking about how much coverage should I have? What are the things I need to think about?
How much is it going to cost to tear that thing out and put it back if it goes to the ground?
Okay.
And so we do have tools that help us calculate that. And we just want to make sure that you get the right fit. And then there's a way to account for inflation, because labor and material costs do go up every year in our area.
So should they be looking at this every year? Should they be increasing their insurance every year? Because value.
Our policy actually adjusts for inflation automatically. Actually, it's my understanding that by law, they do have to, unless you have a depreciated policy or an actual cash value policy.
Gotcha.
So, but that's important. And then I think the other important thing is maintaining your home well, to prevent losses. Paint seals protects the home from water getting in, those types of things. And some things, like Jory has said, are not covered, and some are. Insurance is designed to take care of those things that happen suddenly and accidentally. And if it's something that occurs over time, it's probably not going to be covered. So
like what? Give me an example of that.
it would be something like, there's a leak that you don't take care of, or the house needs to be painted, or the trees have overgrown the roof, and so the wind blows the trees and damages the roof. So maintenance, those types of items are really important to maintaining your home and preventing loss that may or may not be covered. So,
Have you guys ever had a tree fall in a house?
Yes, we have.
yes. My sister's just dealt with that over at her house.
You're
on
bringing up a very sore subject in our family.
September 7th, when that windstorm came through, yes, we had several trees over on homes and fences.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is indeed a covered loss.
A covered loss, and if a tree falls, we have a tree in our yard that I do not want. He thinks we should just chop it down. And I'm like, I'm not chopping the tree down in our yard.
50
But
feet up,
all
and
he
it's
thinks
4
about-
inches from the roof line. And it's hanging over the house.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys
We don't
fight
need to bring that
battle.
up on this video.
I will let you fight that battle.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see who wins, though.
The tree's still there.
No.
It's really interesting because insurance is something that you buy that you hope you will never have to use. But the telltale part of it is when you need it, you need to have it there. And you need to have someone like Jory that is there for you and that can explain what your coverage is and what it will do for you and what you need to do for your home, because maintenance on that home is up to the homeowner.
Yeah.
Catastrophe or things that happen suddenly and accidentally is an insurance thing, and you just hope and pray you never have to use it.
Yeah.
But you are simply over the moon
If it
you
goes
do need
well.
it and you've got it.
Yeah. So let's talk about floods. If your pipes break, is that covered in homeowners insurance?
Generally, yep. The sudden
Generally?
incidental pipe break, yep.
What if you leave the hose on and it runs down your window well and goes into your basement? Is that covered?
There's there'll be questions on that one. It's hard to say yes or no.
Because I
Each-
mean,
each is
if it's your
individual.
fault or your children's fault, is that covered by insurance?
We've seen both ways. We've seen it go both ways, but that's a hard one to pin down.
Is that something they can have covered, and is that expensive? Like accidents.
Generally, it's tough to put that into place. There's no endorsement for
Gotcha.
a kid running the hose and leaving it on, that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
but it's very individual, that process is.
Gotcha.
And
on
that's
circumstantial.
exactly right. Each claim is evaluated on its own merits as to whether or not it's covered.
Gotcha.
So,
Coming back to understanding your policy.
Right.
absolutely.
I mean, it's great to have the backing of a company that has, tons and tons of resources to help our clients, and that's what they're there for solely. I mean, and that's the reason why State Farm is so well known and number one in a lot of things, is because of that very reason.
What happens when you file? This is always the question. Do I file an insurance claim? Because what happens when I start filing insurance claims willy-nilly? It's not like health insurance.
Right. And that,
Because that's tracked, right?
right, like Mickey said, it's more for the catastrophic incidental coverage type questions. In any in the insurance world, it's better to have one claim of probably $50,000 than 3 claims of $100, because they're looking at trends. The actuarials are just looking at trends. And
Gotcha.
so it's just, and it's a case-by-case basis. We would never tell you not to. So
Gotcha.
it's whatever you feel. And
But that's always the question. Is there really repercussions for filing homeowners insurance claims
I don't
down
know.
the road?
Depends. That's a tough question. Yeah.
Claim,
Depends on-
claim frequency can definitely have an impact on the rate that you pay.
I've been on the side of paying out death claims. And this is, it's very serious. And, this is what probably got me into the job is helping people in the time that they need us most. You know it? And so after the accident, who's generally the first person they call after their family? It's us,
Yeah.
right? We're the one that's going to walk them through, talk them through these processes. And I've handed life insurance checks to family members that have lost, that now have bills that have stacked up, mounted up, funeral to pay for, and we can give them those benefits of a policy within 1 week with State Farm generally, and how that changes their life, and it gives them an opportunity to actually mourn the things that are most important to them without having to worry about the financial side. Yeah. So that's on my side. That's probably the most rewarding is that one.
I would agree with that. The other thing that I think when you talk about a holistic approach to your insurance, take a look at your disability benefits. If someone gets sick or hurt and there's no money coming in, it's pretty tough to keep that mortgage paid, keep the lights on, keep food on the table. And so I encourage folks to do take a look at what disability benefits they have through work or privately, and just make sure that they're able to meet those needs for their family. So if someone's sick or hurt, the cost of their financial obligation, you have increased hospitalizations, deductibles, co-pays, prescription drugs that you have a co-pay on, and those can become very devastating for families. So those are conversations we
Is
like
that
to have.
homeowners insurance that you look at that having that kind of a coverage? Or
Apart.
is it just a separate coverage?
It's a separate coverage.
We could insure you to the hilt if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can insure everything.
When,
That's just
when you work in insurance, I have become a good insurance consumer because I look at what's happening to folks and I see what's happening in their family and the stresses and the toll that it takes. And I don't want that to happen for me.
We take it personally.
I
We
do.
really do.
I do.
We feel the same pain that they feel.
And if I have a child that is sick or passes away, you know, it's important to have the right things in place so that you don't have to bury your child and go back to work the next day because you need a paycheck.
Right.
Families need time to grieve and they need the resources there and to be prepared for those things. And those are hard things to talk about and hard conversations to have. And we don't want to think about it.
Right.
But it happens, and it happens frequently in our community
Yeah.
and within my own family. So
That makes sense.
You guys deal with probability of it not
Right.
happening. We deal with reality of it happening.
Ah.
And that's the big difference.
And that's the balance, because it is also nice in your mind to say, I'm just not going to think about
Yeah,
it.
I'm fine. I don't want to do
Yeah.
it. And it's not.
Yeah.
It's like we don't like to think about
Yeah.
the bad things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
But we also think because those bad things, we can put a lot of good things in place.
Yeah.
So when they do happen,
absolutely, absolutely, and that
So-
is, you know, the rewarding part of this job is to. It's fun to make a big sale, but it is extremely humbling and gratifying when you deliver that life insurance check. It cements why we do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It makes perfect
Right.
sense.
Or any of those ways when we help them in an auto
Absolutely,
claim or a homeowner. So we rebuild their house, or we
Yeah.
put them
Absolutely.
back to a state of normalcy.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about it, for sure.
Well, it has to counterbalance for all those people that are like, I have to send you a check again this month.
I know. Yeah.
And you say, that's right, but I'm going to keep doing it because when I have to ever give you a check, it's going to be all worth it.
We'll give you one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
For
awesome.
sure.
All right, you guys, any ideas, anything that we need to know? This is your chance to tell everybody about what they should think about insurance. What are your thoughts? If you can give one piece of advice. Evelyn, what's your one piece of advice?
Well, I think you need to check into the insurance, and the person that you want to check into all of the possibilities is your insurance agent. And that's one of the things that you can't get with these that you have to phone, you know, and it's a national company that does not have a local office. But one of the things that I thought about when you guys were talking about this was not a catastrophic loss, except it was kind of an interesting loss because there is so many different kinds of insurance. And this was a personal articles policy that It was really interesting because it handles things in such a different way. And one of the policyholders was up on the bridge up, and I believe it's in Island Park. They were looking at the fish underneath it, you know. They were looking at all of these fish, and their diamond ring fell off of their hand. And they were absolutely destroyed because that was a beautiful diamond ring with a beautiful moment. And State Farm paid for the whole ring.
Wow.
I mean, without a deductible, you know, on it. And the smile that came to their face when they were able to replace that was great. And the other thing that I think about is my grandchildren. I've purchased a life insurance policy for each of my grandchildren because of the lack of my knowledge when I had the opportunity to buy life insurance and didn't when I was younger. This gives them an opportunity to, as a savings plan, as well as a catastrophic plan for the life as well. And to get it when they are first born is so great because then it goes over a lifetime and they have that insurance forever. And it increases in value, and it's very gratifying for me and worthwhile for them.
Yeah. Very cool present.
Yes.
Very cool present. Yeah. Lifelong present. All right.
I think the important thing for families to do is at least sit down with their agent every year or every 2 years. Bring it all in, let your agent look it over, make sure it's still doing what you need it to do. You need to talk about the things that have changed in your life. Have you got kids heading off to college that are, you know, you need to prepare for that? Or have you had more kids? Are you taking care of an aging parent? And just having that annual check up or review with your insurance agent and make sure that there's a whole big picture for everything. I mean, the reason you buy insurance is for peace of mind. And so making sure you have those pieces in place so that you've done the very best to take care of that and protect yourselves and your family from those types of losses that can happen. So
Love that.
once or twice a year.
Once or twice a year. Awesome.
Or
Jory?
every other year at least.
Yeah.
And that's definitely our goal in our office, is to try to meet with our clients once a year. Corona's made that a little crazy. We still have options that we can do Zoom, we can do YouTube, we can do, you know, other means of meeting with our clients in a safe manner as well. But yeah, we try to have that checkup basically every year, every 2 years, so that we make sure that we're answering the right questions and that people are covered at the right levels. That's our job.
Yeah.
That's what our job is, to assume that risk and help. We're basically risk managers, help them avoid the risks of their everyday living.
Yeah.
So
We're risky folks out here.
we are.
That's for
risky,
sure.
risky business.
Well, it's awesome. Thanks, you guys. Great insight. Great insights for everyone to think about and make sure they're keeping in mind and looking at those kind of things. 'Cause this, like you said, it's always the day that it's too late is when we start to think about it and we take a look. And so getting past that idea. Awesome. Okay, guys, amazing. Again, come in and talk to Jory Inama and with State Farm over here on the west side, right off of Broadway, next to Skyline Lanes. Watch the Skyline Lanes video. And check it out. You will appreciate that you've taken that time to take a look at assessing, especially after we see this pandemic. We just don't know what's going to happen month to month, year to year. It's a great thing to have that peace of mind. Okay, this has been Jessica Carden, your nosy neighbor, keeping you in the know.
The
Nosy Neighbors keeping you in the know.
Nosy Neighbors keeping you in the know.
Hey guys, we're here with the Nosy Neighbors, and we're keeping you in the know.
The Nosy Neighbors keeping you in the know.
The Nosy Neighbors keeping you in the know.
So the Nosy Neighbors keeping you in the know.
The Nosy Neighbors are going to keep you in the know.